More on this, let's bring in our political panel, senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright and Dr. Gabriel Castro, an assistant professor at Cedarville University. Gentlemen, welcome. So Kelly, to you first, travelers, they are feeling the pain. Airlines will cancel hundreds of flights every day now at the FAA's direction in order to keep passengers safe. What is the White House saying about all of this tonight?
Well, Jenna, good evening to you. Again, it goes back to the president putting all the blame on the Democrats. And you'll recall that about 4 weeks ago, I was in the Oval Office with the president along with a group of other reporters. I asked him at that time, in the early stages of the government shutdown, what about the pain that the American people will feel? And at that time, he said the American people were not feeling any pain. And he basically wanted to say, hang in there. And as we've discussed before, Jenna, hanging in there is becoming quite a problem right now for so many air travelers and so many air traffic controllers who are worried about showing up to their jobs, not being able to afford health care or even care for their children. So many of them are calling out sick or even taking to driving Uber to make up for the loss of expenses. And for the air traffic people who are actually trying to get to work, there's also the question of a safety issue. Now, the Trump administration, President Trump says it's not a safety issue right now. Transportation Secretary Scott Duffy is concerned about the mental acuity and the stress levels that many of these air traffic controllers have concern with, and that's why they're cutting down the number of flights that are flying. Well, that poses a problem for air travelers as well as a problem for the air companies themselves. Airline companies are now stating it's time for Democrats and Republicans to get back to opening up the government and accept the CR, the continuing resolution, to make things palpable and palatable for the American people.
Yeah, it's being felt more and more each day and affecting more people as the days pass. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration, Kelly, to make full food stamp payments in November. This ruling comes after the administration said it would provide only partial food stamp benefits for November by using a SNAP contingency fund. The Department of Agriculture has said it simply doesn't have the money to make the full payments, Kelly.
Well, look, the money is $5.1 billion in a contingency fund. There might be more. And basically, the Department of Agriculture is saying that they can't tap into that because, according to Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, those funds are for natural disasters. Well, what about man-made disasters? And clearly, this is a man-made disaster that has unfolded because of Democrats and Republicans not agreeing to actually continue with opening the government and having that continuing resolution. So what this judge is now doing, because there's the impasse between the legislative branch and the executive branch, the judicial branch is now stepping in saying, okay, both of you guys do something. Mr. President, open up those funds, take care of the 42 million people who will go throughout the month of October without food, or at least the ability to get to that food. And then there's the fact that of those 42 million people, at least 16 million people are children. Mm-hmm. So at some point, cooler heads have to prevail. Adults have to step into the room and actually start caring for the least of these. And you can look at it from a left perspective or a right perspective, but the middle of this is the fact that people are saying, we need these SNAP benefits in order to feed our families.
Yeah. Gabriel, let's bring you in and talk about the deadlock up on Capitol Hill. Historically speaking, how are you looking at this, and what could bring this to an end?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And first, it's important to keep things in perspective. This is not the first time we have a shutdown, probably won't be the last. Recently, shutdowns have been more common when you have a Republican in the White House and Democrats and Congress, different degrees of control of the House. But that's what we have today. Because of the Senate, Democrats are able to kind of impose this deadlock and shut down, which is tragic. It's a terrible situation for many, many Americans. But I think, again, the big picture is the government. Since 2001, the federal government has been running year after year after year of deficits, and that's not sustainable. So what's the government trying to do right now is, well, let's cut down some spending, reduce spending, which is really, really hard. Even some Democrats agree we should spend less, but when you go through specifics, it becomes really, really hard to negotiate and find a common ground. And that's what's in Congress. Now, what happened as well is, as you see with the recent, just this past week, the elections, Democrats might have been benefiting from this shutdown electorally, because when you don't see your paychecks or your food stamps every month coming every month, what you might look at is for answers from the White House, not from Congress necessarily. So
Yeah.
the main person you blame is probably Donald Trump in the White House.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not fully fair. So what you see is electorally for Democrats, it works. It maybe pays off, but of course it's tragic for the country.
Let's shift gears and talk about the drug boat strikes in the Caribbean. The U.S. has conducted its 17th lethal strike, killing at least 3 alleged drug smugglers on board. That's at least 70 alleged drug smugglers who now have been killed in these strikes since the beginning of September. Democrats, they're trying to put a stop to the strikes and are asking for more information on how they're being done. Kelly, it seems like the administration is full steam ahead here.
They are full steam ahead because the president wants to actually eliminate any threat of illegal drugs coming into the United States, most notably fentanyl and other drugs that can cause harm to the American people. And when you consider the scope and magnitude of fentanyl and the cause of death that it has caused for so many Americans, I mean, it's astronomical, the number. And so the president is trying to do that he can, and the Democrats are questioning it, and even some Republicans now are saying, Mr. President, you're going too far. This is really an drug interdiction to be done by law enforcement, which would be the Coast Guard. But be that as it may, there is a whole new shift to the Western Hemisphere, and that's dealing with the drug paraphernalia that's coming to this country.
Gabriel, critics say that the strikes violate international and U.S. law by killing these alleged drug smugglers on the high seas. Are there some international red lines being crossed here?
Maybe that's a good debate. I think, broadly speaking, those are not traditional soldiers. It's not clear whether they should be labeled terrorists, even though those organizations have been officially designated as terrorist organizations by the U.S. government. It's not clear whether those people on those boats bringing drugs into U.S. are actually terrorists in the traditional sense, classical sense. And also, it is justifiable if it's considered self-defense. I'm not sure that's the case here with the drug boats as well. The U.S. has a very strong case for going after those organizations who are bringing drugs, usually, again, by the sea to the U.S., but they are not necessarily armed. They are not necessarily coming to the U.S. to attack the U.S. government or institutions. So it's debatable, and the U.S. will probably have to face some, at least some repercussions or some criticism by the international community if they keep doing that.
Yeah. All right, Kelly and Gabriel, we're out of time for tonight, but thank you both for joining us. Have a great weekend.